Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Real Talk. Now, we were originally supposed to be going on 92.5 WLSD. Other plans have occurred, and I'm going to be doing a show live from the studio. So bear with me, and I appreciate you all tuning in and listening. So tonight we're going to be doing the show. It's Friday, October 20th, 2013. Last week we had we had October 13th, the day that a lot of people think that superstition and things like that happen. Obviously it doesn't. It's just all in your mind, all in your psyche. So tonight we're going to be doing another show on the movie Halloween H20. Now, Halloween H20 is a movie that came out in 1998, and the truth be that when I was younger, it wasn't really that I wasn't allowed to watch horror movies, but it was more of like I had night terrors, like I explained last week. So I didn't really watch a lot of those type of movies growing up. I didn't really watch scary movies. I didn't really watch horror movies. But one of the first that I actually went to the theater and saw was Halloween H20, which was Halloween 20 years from the original. It had Jamie Lee Curtis, Josh Hartnett, Michelle Williams, Adam Arkin, LL Cool J, and it was kind of a reboot, so to speak. You had several Halloween sequels that failed to live up to expectations, failed to live up to box office financial, what they were expecting, because a lot of the times that horror movies are produced and released, they are produced and released to make money. So they're often cheaper to make. And Halloween H20 was no exception. So it was released in August of 1998. I actually went to Coburn Cinema to watch it in the Middle Theater. And this would probably be one of the first, now thinking back, this was probably the first Halloween movie that I saw in theaters. Like I said, I hadn't seen that many movies that were horror movies. I hadn't seen that many released in the theaters. So this was one of the first ones, to be honest, that were. I'd seen Scream, maybe in the theater, Phantoms. I'm trying to think what else. Maybe a few that I had seen, but as far as franchises go, this was one of the first that I had seen in the movie theater. So let's dive right in. Like I said, this was a $15 million movie featuring Jamie Lee Curtis, Josh Hartnett, Michelle Rodriguez, LL Cool J, and Adam Arkin. And it pretty much takes place, it pretty much disregards some of the earlier episodes. It takes place right after Halloween number 2. So it's as if Halloween number 3, 4, 5, and 6 never occurred. So Laurie Strode, she is operating kind of a, I guess you could say maybe a private school. And she's really, the way she is, like in Halloween 2018, it kind of began here. Excuse me. So she's really distraught. She's really worried about her son. I think his name is Zeke. I think Josh Hartnett's name is Zeke. And it's still, she's drinking to kind of deal with the past. She has had her brother and who happens to be a serial killer, Michael Myers. She has spent her entire life worrying if he is going to come at her and try to kill her. So she has, for 20 years straight, she has wondered, when is he going to come? He's going to show up. He's going to kill me. When? So she has been, excuse me, kind of drinking the alcohol, the wine. And her son Zeke, which is played by Josh Hartnett, is kind of like, I'm done. I can't continue to live in your shadow. Michael Myers is dead. He thinks this. Michael Myers is no more, and I can't live my life the way that I want to live it because of you. And he's saying that to her. There's a scene where he's actually saying, I can't live the life that I want to live because you're stuck in the past. You're stuck in your brother trying to come forward and kill me and murder me. Now, all the while, that's true. Zeke doesn't know this, and at the time, Laurie doesn't know this as well. So that's kind of the setup, is that Michael Myers is back from beyond. He's out to kill Laurie, her son, and anyone that stands in the way. So that's kind of a little bit of the setup. Now, when Jamie Lee Curtis was originally brought on board for this series, she wanted to give back for the fans. She wanted to give back to the fans because this was her bread and butter role. This was what she was known for. She was in Halloween, Halloween 2, Prom Night, and after that, she ceased doing any kind of horror movies. To moderate success, I guess you could say. And, so she had almost, I don't want to say complete creative control when this movie came out, but they really wanted to bring her back in because they thought if they brought her back in, not only would it revitalize the franchise, but it would also be a box office success. So in 1995, this is a little bit about myself. I had subscribed to a magazine called Entertainment Weekly. And like the name says, it came out weekly. So I do remember reading about some of the prior Halloweens coming out and some of the, I don't want to say it was a box office failure, but a lot of horror movies are cheaply made. So Halloween 5, The Curse of Michael Myers, cost about $10 million. It made about $15 million, and was the debut of Paul Rudd. But it didn't set the box office on fire. It didn't have the thrills that the original did. Have you ever watched the original Halloween movie?
No, I don't like that kind of stuff.
But you've heard of it, though.
Oh, yeah.
So the original Halloween movie, starring Jamie Lee Curtis, written by Wes Craven, cost $350,000. Modest in addition to how much movies cost, and it ended up making around $56 million US. So almost all the money that it made was profit. And at the time, they didn't realize that it would set up a franchise that will last 40 years plus. Because, as of last year, they released another Halloween movie. But none of the Halloween movies that have been produced and made have actually lived up to the original. You've had 6, I guess you could say, sequels or episodes that that went through the 80s and 90s, all been profitable, but they've not been critically acclaimed. Halloween H20 was a little bit different in that respect. Like I said earlier in the program, I went to the Middle Theater in Coburn Cinema, August 1998, and I watched Halloween H20. Now, the trailers that came out, they appealed to a more younger demographic. You had Josh Hartnett. He was just coming onto the scene. Michelle Williams. She was popular from Dawson's Creek. And then you had Adam Arkin. I think he was in either Chicago Hope or the show that George Clooney was on, ER, one of the two. Then you had Jamie Lee Curtis, who was a star in her own right. And then you had LL Cool J, Ladies Love Cool James, a rapper, trying to step in and, kind of build upon his, his resume. And he was trying to branch out and do more film work other than just, music and rap. So he actually did a good job. So this particular movie, it's got a score of probably, I think it's a 36 to 39% on Rotten Tomatoes. Obviously, Rotten Tomatoes wasn't a thing back then because that's just when the internet was taking hold, going forward, and coming into its own. I was 18 when I saw the movie, and I don't want to say that it scared me at all, but it did have a few jump scares. And it was the first Halloween movie that I actually saw in the movie theater, and I thought that they did a good job. So, as we said, let's discuss the plot. The plot was basically Michael Myers is not dead. He comes back. He's hunting his sister, Laurie Strode, and he is coming back upon the, the school that she is a part of, kind of like a private school. So he's pretty much comes in and is taking out people one by one. And that's basically the premise of the movie. The premise of, all Halloweens, it's a Halloween movie, so, what do you really expect? I really enjoyed this movie. Maybe it was because of I didn't really watch a lot of horror movies at the time, especially in the theater. I'd only mainly seen Scream 2, and things like that. I'll be right back in just a second. Sorry about that. I'm back now. But I will say that this movie, it's not a great movie, but it's a movie that if you like the Halloween franchise, I think you'll really enjoy this. I've only watched the sequels 1, 2, and 3, and then I watched the Rob Zombie reboot, and then the most recent one. But I would say Halloween H20 is a movie that's really enjoyable. It's fun. It's predictable. So it's not really that scary. It's got some good kills. I will say that. It's got some pretty good performances. And it dives into more of the psychological aspect of Lori dealing with the tragedy of having a brother that killed her family and the repercussions of what it has in her life. Like, she is paranoid, she's an alcoholic, she's overprotective, and that all leads into because of her brother. So it pretty much ignores Halloween after 2. It acknowledges the first 2 and then ignores after that. So if you go into it with that mindset, I think it is a really enjoyable slasher flick, and it's got some fun. You know what's fun about it is the other day on Facebook I saw a post, and it had a lot of the up and comers from 1996, 1997, and obviously now they're 20, 25 years later. But it made me think that this was a story that was told due to the fact that a lot of these up and comers, and then they did a fantastic job. Now, I always wondered why Josh Hartnett had a horrible, terrible haircut. And the reason he had that is because he did not want the fame that came with being an actor. He wanted his performance to stand on its own, so therefore he cut his own hair and tried to look as unmatinee idol as possible. And there's even a line in there where LL Cool J says, hey bro, you need to cut your hair. And he actually did his own hair cutting on the scene. So, this isn't a movie that, would be a standout movie. It isn't a movie that, it stands out, in my opinion, more than any other Halloween movie, other than the original. And then you've got episode 3, Season of the Witch, which I watched a couple of weeks back. And that kind of stood on its own. You've got the Rob Zombie, and then you've got another remake or reboot in 2008. I think it's David Gordon Green who had the trilogy Halloween, Halloween Kills, and Halloween Ends, which ended, I gotta say, it ended abruptly, and it wasn't a satisfying conclusion. I do think at the time, which I wasn't really invested in scary movies at the time, but, when it came out, I went to, I was 18. It came out in the August of 2018, and I did see it in the summer when it came out. And I remember being surprised. I remember sitting in the theater. There was a couple of jump scares. I'd never seen Michael Myers on the big screen before. And in all honesty, other than the first Halloween, up until that point, I don't even think I'd seen a Halloween movie. Because like I said last week, I used to have night terrors when I was younger. So therefore, I didn't really watch this kind of a movie. I didn't really watch Friday the 13th, Freddy Krueger, Michael Myers. I didn't really have that kind of connection to a lot of these horror movies that maybe some of the people my age had. But I was caught up in the hype because, Kevin Williamson, who wrote Scream and I Know What You Did Last Summer, helped co-write Halloween H20. So it kind of gave it a little bit of a hip and modern take at the time. But even though it was a modern take for 1998, if you go on and watch it now, there's no less enjoyable moments from it. You know, is it going to scare you? No, it's not going to scare you. Is it an original plot? No. Michael Myers is on the prowl to try to kill Laurie, which is all of them. Excuse me. But is it fun? Yes. Does it dive into a little bit of the past history to, make you think, why is Laurie the way she is? She's had a traumatic experience. She's got a child now, and she is projecting her experience upon him. But how would you do it differently? I mean, if you were a young teenage girl and you had your brother who was much younger, single digits, 5, 6, 7, kill your family and try to kill you, but you've escaped, how would you handle that for the remainder of your life? Would you be traumatized? Because she's looking over her shoulder the entirety of the movie and the entirety of her life, because she doesn't know that Michael is completely dead. She doesn't know how Michael has behaved. Hey, Stacy. And she's still fearful of Michael because of her child, because of Zeke, who is Josh Hartnett. So therefore, you get into a little bit more of the psychological aspect of Laurie and why she is the way she is. And you come into a lot more dramatic elements than you may have in the first two incarnations of in the last couple of the series. So that's a little bit what's at stake in regards to Halloween H20. Now, the performances, they're good. They're great. Considering the fact that it is a horror movie and a Michael Myers horror movie at that, I think that anyone that would watch this movie would enjoy it, especially if they know what they're getting into. If you step into this film not knowing, you might not enjoy. But myself being at the time an 18-year-old teenager, and even now, last week, it was rather enjoyable. It was predictable. I knew what was going to happen. But I wouldn't really disparage or put down any of the personal things. Stacy's saying this is her favorite Halloween. And I would have to agree. I've watched Halloween H20 probably more than any other Halloween that I've watched. I've watched it maybe 5 times, and it never lets me down. I might not have the jump scares that I do in some of the others, but it is a very solid entry in the Halloween franchise. And I don't think anyone that watches it will be let down. I truly don't. You've got the score, which we always talk about on the show, the score to the Halloween H20. It's what you'd expect. You've got the original, score, the creepy score that John Carpenter wrote. And it's displayed here perfectly. You've got a lot of great characters. You've got Adam Arkin. You've got LL Cool J. You've got Josh Hartnett. You've got Michelle Williams. And then you've got Jamie Lee Curtis. And they all do a top-notch job. I really honestly can't disparage or put down anyone's acting abilities. The script, I thought the script was tight. I thought it was sufficient. I thought it was a good job. I thought that Kevin Williamson and others, if there's others, did a fantastic job. He was coming off of Scream, I Know What You Did Last Summer, a Katie Holmes movie called Teaching Miss Tingle, which actually was called Killing Miss Tingle to begin with, but due to the some school shootings, they changed the title, which I've actually never seen that movie. But Halloween H20 is a movie that it stands up. I do really stand up. So, in conclusion, this is a rather quick review of the film. I think that if you like the other Halloween franchise movies, that you will really enjoy this one. It's got a few couple surprises, a few couple jump scares that you might not see coming. The score is superb, if you like the others. The actors and actresses do a fine job, and they all did a really good job. And financially and critically, it was a success. So I think that everyone involved really enjoyed the process of it. And I think it's a worthwhile entry in the Halloween franchise to check out. Now, if you add it all up, now in the we're in 2023, so Halloween H20 is 25 years old, which kind of brings a little bit of a tear to my eye, because it makes me think that, wow, I was 18 when I saw that film. And when I still watch it, which I've watched it twice recently, it holds up. The only thing that is different is that there's not a lot of cell phones in the film. But as far as the characters, the plot, the aesthetics, the score, it's a worthwhile entry in the Halloween franchise. And I do want you all to possibly check it out. It's on HBO Max right now, so it's probably on there to the end of the month. I would really suggest, if you haven't watched it, this would be one to go in and watch first. Not that you would, you could easily glean and gain what it's about without knowing anything of the past. Because it's basically a straightforward story. Michael Myers is back. He wants to find his sister, Laurie, which is the mission that he's been on throughout the entire incarnations, even till today. And he is going to kill anyone in his way. Now, what's always funny is with Jason Voorhees as well, is that regardless of how fast somebody runs and gets away, Michael Myers can walk, catch you, and will definitely get you in the end. But I would say if you've not watched a Halloween movie, or you have, it's not as violent as some of the later ones, some of the most recent ones. But for a 1998 entry, I would say it is a very worthwhile film. I don't think you'll feel like you wasted your time. It's a slim 96 minutes, so it's an hour and a half. So I would definitely, if you have an hour and a half ready, available, go on there, go on HBO Max, check out Halloween H20, leave me a comment below of what you think about it, and enjoy. Just sit back and enjoy the movie. It's nothing more than what it pretends to be. And that's basically the movie. It's more enjoyable in some of, Halloween 3, 4, and 5, which if only a few of them. But I think it will be something that you will enjoy. And it's a little bit of nostalgia as well. So I think you should definitely check out Halloween H20. So tonight is just a quick little glimpse of the show. Sorry, it couldn't be a longer version of the show. But next week, I will be on with another, I think Thomas Bone is going to be on. We're going to be discussing It Follows and we're going to be doing another episode of The Other People Show. So please check out The Other People Show on Spotify, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and all the social media pages. Please do that. Like and subscribe. So you all have a good night. I'm Adam with Real Talk. Good night.